Nice one, Jen. You alright, guys? This is Pause for Thought, and I'm the world around you on Fresh Old FM. This week, we're touching wood, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So, Sudafed at the ready and grab your tissues because this week, we're looking into luck. But first, let's have a song. This is Bugsy Malone's newest song with Chip. This is Notorious. So, what makes someone luckier than someone else? I've always wanted to be able to market luck and sell it to people. Like, to be fair, I did try it when I used to work at the butcher's. I used to sell good luck for 55p on eBay. I'd throw 5p into the local river and then keep the 50p after charges. I'd keep that for myself. So that is something that I've done. But I mean, like, generally speaking, like, it would be nice if you could bottle up something that genuinely made people feel luckier or made people feel better, happier. I mean, you can. Like, it's called whiskey, innit? Like, that's all that really is whiskey. But what would it really need? Like, do I just need to be convincing and help people alter their perceptions of reality, or do you need actual physical things like the midichlorians in Star Wars and that, or the bits that Scientologists believe in when they grab on them metal sticks, like the things at Blackpool Beach that make you feel like you're being electrocuted? Is luck just earned? Do you earn luck? Can it be given? You know, when you wish luck, I wish you luck. Can you do that? And when you wish someone luck, are you wishing away a part of your luck, or is it the luck that's been given from someone else? Or can you just gather it? Do you just attract it like some weird like magnet, or a fucking one of them things you throw in a tumble dryer to collect the fluff? Hopefully, in about an hour's time, we're going to have some of these answered. So, I can't help but think, like, are animal rights activists trying to take away people's luck? Because I would argue that they are, innit? Because rabbits' feet are considered lucky, but they'll be gone from public conscience when animal rights activists and vegans get their fucking dirt-covered hands on luck. Could that be the aim of the vegans? Attack our sentimentalities and also stop people from gathering lucky items. If you want to make genuinely lucky rabbit's feet in order to sell them and meet trading standard regulations, you're going to have to do a few steps. To begin with, you're going to want to capture your rabbit on top of a grave, or at least capture a rabbit and then kill it on top of a grave. Now, this helps you to make your rabbit's foot more powerful than your competitor's rabbit's feet. The leg also needs to be the back left leg, which is annoying because I was thinking you could make 4 lucky rabbit's feet from one rabbit, but if you're looking to sell genuinely lucky rabbit's feet, then you're going to need 4 rabbits if you've 4 customers. Now, one of the things that does make a rabbit's foot luckier is if you cut it off on a Friday. I'm not sure why, like, if you want to kill it at the cemetery first. I don't really get why it's luckier on a Friday. I couldn't find out anything really about that, to be honest. Like, there wasn't much about why on a Friday. I thought maybe it's got some religious something behind it, like Good Friday. Jesus was crucified on a Friday, so maybe that makes rabbits' feet lucky because rabbits were taken from a pagan tradition and sort of applied to Easter to try and ease the transition from pagan to Christianity, supposedly. But I don't know. I don't know why it's a Friday. And as I say, I'm not sure if you have to kill it at the cemetery first before you chop the foot off, or if you chop the foot off of the rabbit and that's got to be the fatal blow to the bunny. I don't know. It's not that clear. Surprisingly, it's not that clear. You would think they'd be like set up steps for it, but I think the general belief behind this is that rabbits live underground. Like, this is why they think rabbits are lucky as a whole. Anyway, like the Celts thought rabbits were lucky because they lived underground, and historically, according to them, that gave them a weird connection with the underworld and with dead people. So, by the same logic, I guess you could argue that an earthworm are pretty useful as well because they come to the surface. Moles, mate, you could have a mole. I mean, I could list lots of fucking, what would the word be? Subterranean? Fucking, like amphibious, but they live underground and above ground. Like a burrowing owl. I imagine a burrowing owl's pretty lucky, like if you chop a burrowing owl's heads off over your nan's grave on a Friday night, and you're like, yeah, this is me lucky burrowing owl's head because I chopped it up over me nan and granddad on a Friday, and people would be like, oh, fucking hell, I didn't know they were lucky. You'd be like, oh, no, neither did I, but I just followed the rules that I heard, you know, on the World Around You's show, you know, Pause for Thought, and people would be like, oh, yeah, I heard that and all. And then what you've got there is a friend for life because you've found the one other person that listens to this show. So, you know, you must have something in common, either a lot of free time or just just generally a weird search history. I've lost myself anyway, but it's got to be worth saying that according to folklore expert, a guy called Bill Ellis, you can decide to delay your dismembering if the weather isn't quite right. So it's got to be on a Friday. You've got to dismember your rabbit on a Friday to make its leg lucky, to make its back left leg lucky. But if the weather's bad that Friday, you don't have to postpone it to the next week. You can just wait a day, and if the weather's a bit better, weather permitting, it'll still count as a Friday, and it'll still be just as lucky, which is fucking mental and makes the whole thing seem like a bit of a farce, to be honest. Now, I don't know what weather is needed as well. It doesn't detail that, so I think it's just whatever weather you fancy. Like if you're a fan of the snow, go and do it on the snow. Be quite dramatic as well to dismember a rabbit on your nan's grave on a Friday night if it's been snowing, because obviously it's a Friday night. Not many people are going to be knocking about in a cemetery on a Friday night, so the snow will be untouched, and then all that's going to be touched is the snow where the blood from the rabbit has dripped and sprayed, and maybe a bit up the stone as well. And maybe that's the part of it though, getting the blood on the gravestone, because the gravestone seems quite sacred, doesn't it? So but I'm wondering, like, does the look of the rabbit transfer to the owner? Like, do we garner the look from the rabbit because the rabbit's lucky enough to be able to burrow underground and speak to the dead people? Do then we get that power to speak to the dead people, or maybe communicate with sort of the interdimensional spirits or the spirits of the ethereal? And can we then communicate with that? If we garner loads of fucking left rabbit's feet, like the back left leg of a rabbit, loads of them, like bags and bags and bags of them. So if you are going to become a Lucky Rabbits retailer and you're going door to door with a suitcase full of these, are you going to be able to speak to ghosts to make the ghosts force your customers or your potential punters to become customers and regular customers until you've only got like a few feet left, and then the ghosts will stop listening to you? Maybe you sell the ghost off with the rabbit's foot. Like, I'm not sure, innit, but I'm trying to figure it out, a bit of it. So I thought, like, rabbits communicate through slapping their feet off the floor, innit? So does that mean that a songbird's throat would also be lucky? So if you can't find any rabbits, but you have got your hand on a bit of thrush, and you're like, oh, lovely bit of thrush there, they were whistling away, and then you've got a few of them. But then again, though, I suppose a thrush would be worth more than a rabbit, because they say like a bird in the hand's worth two. So you'd only have to sell half as many thrush to make as much money as selling double the amount of rabbit's paws, and it's probably less work as well. Like, what about a deaf person's hands? Like, is a deaf person's hands lucky? Because they use them to communicate, don't they? So could someone who uses like Makaton or sign language in that, if you chop their hands off and keep their hands, are their hands lucky to own? Like, a monkey's paw was thought to be lucky in a little short story that got parodied in The Simpsons years ago, but now we do know, though, now, looking back at like films like Planet of the Apes, and even that fucking Coco the gorilla, mate, that some monkeys can communicate through sign language. So could this be what W.W. Jacobs was referring to? My theory starts to fall apart, to be honest, though, because when you take into account like a four-leaf clover, they seem to just be considered lucky because they're unusual and hard to come by. But see, I reckon if you was to breed clovers specifically, or did a bit of research on them at least, then you'd be able to find a four-leaf clover no problem if you knew where to look to find them. Which, I guess, all that just brings up another question, innit? This is full of questions this week. If you found the four-leaf clover, then realistically, aren't you already lucky? Because if they're that hard to find, then you must be lucky to find it. So are these things just symbols, just like a trophy to show how lucky you are? Like, instead of getting about and fucking shooting kestrels and stuff and putting their heads on the wall, or fucking going and fucking stabbing a hippopotamus in the back of the neck and then putting its head and feet on the wall, or making coffee tables out of its body, or whatever, trophy-wise. Or even being like fucking Craven and putting Spider-Man's head on a wall like a fucking psychopath. Is that what four-leaf clovers are and other lucky symbols? It's just a way of going, look how lucky I am. I'm that lucky that I found a fucking four-leaf clover, mate. Now, I mean, you can pick apart a lot of things in it and try to describe them as lucky. Sticking with conspiracy theories, let's go with a conspiracy everybody's aware of, or at least is aware that there's a conspiracy about. Let's go with 9/11. So on 9/11, anyone that was late to work on that day, or was off work through annual leave, or for whatever reason had finished early, or had nipped out for dinner and they'd avoided dying in what was a fucking horrible fucking day for everybody else involved. They'd be considered lucky. But they also lost the job, like, and I'm not going to say, oh, you've lost your job, so your life's not worth living. That's not true, but I mean, hopefully as well, it's going to sound quite sick and morbid, but let me make my point. Hopefully they lost some friends as well, and not hopefully as in they deserve to lose a loved one, because I don't know these people, but I just think it'd be a lot more depressing if you realise you avoided a huge incident like 9/11, and then you realise that you didn't feel sorry for anyone else in the building or didn't miss anyone. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully they did lose at least one person, even if it was just the girl they'd been eyeing up across the office kind of thing, and they'd missed them, and they're like, oh, and then that spurred them on in the future to, make the move and speak to the girl that they like kind of thing. Maybe not. Maybe they just become quite reclusive and thought, oh my god, I'm fucking, I'm quite special because I nipped out for a brew, even though I could have gone to the cafe there, but because I'd had a falling out with Brenda over the milk that they've been using, I thought, well, I'm just gonna go to Starbucks, mate, or whatever else, fucking wherever other coffee retailers exist. And if Starbucks don't fucking deliver to your door, mate, like Double Drop Coffee do, you know what I mean? But I don't think Double Drop Coffee was knocking about in 2001. It was probably just a little twinkle in Rankin's eye. Fucking, where the fuck was I going with 9/11? Jesus. Fuck me. Saying about people being lucky and that, innit? Like, you've avoided that. So yeah, so you're kind of lucky and unlucky, I guess, but I guess, like, fucking, I mean, if you have, then again, going back to it, man, if you fucking survived that and you don't feel sorry for anyone, fucking congratulations, mate, you're a psychopath. That's not a bad thing. You'll probably get another job quite quickly in the financial sector. It's probably how you got the job originally. Or, fucking, well done, mate, congratulations. You now know how to make yourself a better person, and you'll be able to make some friends, that's all you need to do to be happier, is make some friends, people that you would miss if they was to die in a fucking plane crash. But what about some of the other people? Like, let's take fucking Bruce Willis's character in Unbreakable into account for a minute. You'd consider him to be very lucky because, he survived the crash, albeit he's like a fucking superhuman, but let's pretend he isn't for a moment. Let's pretend that he was actually, this is the character in the film, the hooded guy. Let's pretend the hood was a child molester. If he'd survived that, he could have gone back to his fucking lair and diddled some kid that he had. That's not lucky. I'd argue it's very unlucky for the child in question, but it could also be deemed kind of lucky because if his victim was a hostage rather than just a family member, then the character being held hostage could be considered both lucky and unlucky. Unlucky because the now antagonist rather than protagonist of the film is now filled with fucking adrenaline from a train crash and no doubt needs a stress reliever, but also lucky because they're not just going to be left to starve in a cellar or shed somewhere. So swings and roundabouts in it if the character from the film Unbreakable did turn out to be a child molester. What I'm noticing though, as I've researched into luck, is that luck itself seems to be down to perception. It might not surprise you, but I kind of struggle with knowing if something makes someone happy or not. And luck seems like a weird filter that you can view life through. But instead of turning everything rosy or like a sepia effect, it just makes a lot of stuff good or a lot of stuff bad. Like, it's just another way of viewing life, viewing the world. Like, for example, for the sperm that breaks through the Johnny on a one-night stand, that baby is lucky to be conceived. But for the new parents, it's very fucking unlucky. It means that they've either got to get some form of abortion, put the kid up for adoption, sell it to a stranger on the internet, force themselves into a relationship with someone they've only just met, or, fucking raise the kid on their own. Either way, like, their lives have been irreversibly changed. So, at least for the moment, anyway, for the next 18 years, give or take. But not every person's cum is like the saliva of Alien from the film Alien. So it's kind of unlikely that this would happen. And that's another huge aspect of luck, though, innit? And general luckiness. Odds. And likeliness. If something is unlikely to happen and then it happens, could you not argue that that is lucky in itself because it's very unusual for that thing to happen? Like getting struck by lightning. It's unlucky to be struck by lightning, but there's this bloke who's called Roy Sullivan who's been lit up fucking 7 times. That doesn't make him lucky, innit? Unless it's unlocked some fucking part of his brain and now he is like the original version of the character in Unbreakable. And, he's fucking getting about and he can fucking see through walls and he can run really quickly and he can fly and read people's minds. Or even just a fucking shit superpower like being able to fucking run a timer in his head with no external help from apparatus or equipment. You don't need to use his phone for it. Fuck me. Let's have a song. This is It Ain't Easy by Brother Ali. Feel a bit dirty, innit, saying this, but join us on Patreon, guys. Like, you know what I mean? If you're listening to this and you thought, you know what, I've really enjoyed this. Like, I keep getting messages of people going, this is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. If you really feel that way, innit, like, try my book. You can get that. You can get a couple of them now on Amazon. Uneducated Guesses and How to Date a Table, an Antique Table, a Lover's Guide. Or, you know, chuck us a couple of quid on Patreon. I'll appreciate it. It'll go a long way. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Luck starts to fall down again with its duality when you think about the elephants. Now, I mean, elephants are lucky because they're like a big tapir, innit? And a tapir is just a sort of a fancy pig. And I think a pig's got a corkscrewed penis. And saying that, though, you know, so does a duck. And I think a cat's actually got a barbed dick and all. But an elephant doesn't have a barbed or curled fucking corkscrewed knob. It's just like a long sausage, which I know because I used to have a biology teacher back at college who used to make us watch elephants having sex on the whiteboard a lot, which I never understood why. She also used to try and spit on me as well. I don't think she was very well, or she was just an arsehole and didn't really like me. Either way though, like, back to the elephant, having a big fucking long sausage like penis is lucky for the receiving elephant and for the giving elephant, to be fair, because it's a lot less effort, I imagine, to get a straight tube. Imagine like if you put water and froze a hose pipe with water in it, and you're trying to force that hose pipe through a hole. It's easier if that's a straight line, isn't it? If it's on a fucking corkscrew, it might be difficult. You can imagine why they might struggle, but imagine if it was that size and corkscrewed, or that size and barbed, or both fucking corkscrew and spikes all over the fuck. It'd be fucking hellish, mate. I mean, it'd be funny to watch the bull elephant try and twist around on the top of the heifer like some weird fucking paired up yoga. But that's about where it ends, innit, for the funness. And saying that, you know, a minute ago about ducks and cats, like, imagine if a duck's dick was barbed and corkscrewed. So whilst they're unlucky to have a twisty willy, I'd argue that they're lucky that it hasn't also got spikes on it as well. So can you just apply luck in that way? Can you just think of something shit, like, say for example, my nans, you know, you're saying to your mate, you know, you're sitting next to your mate, you're like, oh, my nan's just died, you know, she just passed away. Oh, bloody hell. How's your granddad? Oh, he's alright. Oh, it's lucky that you've still got him, innit? Is it just a way of making someone feel better about a shit situation? Bringing it like closer to home, because not many of us can really say that, oh, you know, I know what it's like to have a big long sausage elephant like dong, you know. So, but we'll keep it with elephants though. A lot of people around the world consider an elephant to be lucky, especially as like a decoration in your house. But my mum always said to me that if you've got an elephant in your house, it's unlucky unless it's facing the door. But I mean, probably the less said about that, the better. Peacocks as well are apparently unlucky, because, at least according to my mum, because some people say that their tail feather patterns look like the evil eye, so that could have something to do with it. And I did find out some stuff about how what was described as ancient Jews would see a particular figure that was like the picture looked like a sort of stone ornament in the shape of a hand. I just saw it in a list of things. I didn't actually make a note of the name. But that was a way of them warding off the evil eye. So I was wondering, is that come about from trying to keep away a peacock? Because if you think about a hand, like a stone, imagine a stone hand. That's like a fan in a way. And a peacock's also like a fan. And you fan things away. And so are you trying to fan away the fan? I don't know. But keeping it with me family anyway for a minute. Like, it says on the internet that ladybirds are lucky as well. Like ladybirds, you know, they might not be called the same thing everywhere. It didn't say ladybird, I don't think, on the fucking thing I read either. It was, but the red things with the black spots. But they've got a pretty nasty bite too, the minute. So I don't get where that luckiness comes from. Because for me dad, they're especially unlucky because he's fucking massively allergic to ladybird bites, which has got to be one of the pansiest sounding allergies going. But I mean, even being fucking lactose intolerant, mate, that sounds less fruity than an allergy to fucking ladybirds. Because at least with like fucking milk and cheese, you can argue it's weird to suckle the juice from a teat of another creature and allow it to go solid and out of date and spread it on bread. But still, it's still a good example, I think, of luck being a two-way street. Could what we call luck be the physical evidence for karma or for yin and yang, and you put a lots of good and bad intentions into something, and then something new pops out? So like a weird vending machine, like the vending machine of life. Except instead of getting a pair of like fucking Asian schoolgirls knickers, you get a skill, or you find a fiver on the ground which you can then use in a real vending machine for an actual pair of used knickers. I bet even the most cynical people have had some experience of luck in their lives. Like think about when you stood at a bus stop and a guy goes past and splashes water. Now we can dissect this scenario quite well to illustrate my point here. So, you can be anyone. You can be the victim. You can be a bystander. Let's say, for example, you're just a guy across the street or watching this on a CCTV camera, so you've got no feelings about it at all. So, to dissect it a bit, if the victim who gets soaked by the puddle the car's gone through, that victim there is unlucky. As the splasher, you could be seen by police and fined or arrested for doing that, which is unlucky. As the splasher, though, you could splash them, not get seen and get away with it, which is lucky. As the victim, you could avoid the splash, which is lucky for you, and the disappointment for the driver. But then it gets more complicated. So what if a stranger was to walk in front of the intended victim of the puddle, get soaked, accidentally protecting the victim from the splash, and the driver isn't seen or reported for it? Then both the intended victim and the splasher are lucky, but now the new person involved in this scenario is unlucky. So what happens to him? Maybe having been like a factor that allowed good luck for two people, maybe that new victim's residual karma is building up inside them, and they'll be able to use their karma build up to have one big fucking lucky event. So is that why people who got bullied as kids are more successful in later life? Because they've been unlucky because they were the butt of jokes or got beaten up a lot at school, but that's allowed this mysterious lucky force to build up inside of them. And this is another thing that people often associate with vegans and animal rights activists. Like, they could be trying to take away from us. Like, well, maybe not like vegans and animal rights activists. I mean, like, fucking generally speaking, like fucking SJWs. But they're trying to take away bully victims from us. So that could take away the forces building up inside people, these lucky, mysterious forces. Because, again, sticking with the M. Night Shyamalan, honestly, I'm not even trying to take the piss. There's too many A's. I can't remember how it's said. But either way, the M. Night film, Glass, I think it was Glass, or the fucking Split. James McAvoy's character at the end, he doesn't kill her because she's had terrible things happen to her, because he can see that she's like him. So does that mean that she's got a build up of this weird force inside of her from being unlucky? I think about it, they don't want the sort of the vegans, animal rights activist kind of people, the ones with the weirdly coloured dyed hair and that, and the SJWs generally, they think about it like they don't want anyone to be upset or bullied, even though it's like an integral part of growing up. You learn to control your actions as the bully as you get older, and you're like, fucking hell, I probably shouldn't be doing that. And then as the victim, you're learning to stand up for yourself, and SJWs want to take that away from your kid. Is it because whoever is fueling the SJWs and their, animal rights activist mates and vegans is actually just using them three types of people as a way of destroying luck in society? Or are they trying to shift the use of luck? Maybe they're trying to make luck build up naturally until it's released upon the whole earth like a fucking volcano or a meteorite, or maybe even a fucking alien invasion, mate. Maybe the earth's natural ring or pulse, that'll seem different after a build-up of luck on the surface, meaning that we'll be more visible to aliens and they'll come visit us, either to fucking enslave us, kill us, or investigate us. Fucking, who knows, mate? Anyway, let's have a song. This is a song that I hear in my head every day. Like, I must say the first fucking 8, 9, 10 seconds of it to myself at least once a day, every day, and have done for years. This is How High, the remix with Method Man and Redman. Let's have another song. Bit different now. This is an instrumental sent in from a listener, Tape Flip. He's also one of my Patreon subscribers. A fucking sick guy. Fucking makes hip-hop beats. This is Lucky. So, could lucky items just be lucky simply because we're told that they're lucky? Which then makes certain people start to look out for things that they think will be lucky or unlucky. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that just because we're told it is? Because some things are seen to be unlucky, but I guess most of them can be explained away easier than things that are lucky. For example, if, like, they say walking under a ladder is unlucky, which Makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you trip up and knock the ladder, you could kill or seriously injure your window cleaner. Then, not only do you have to start exposing yourself to the new window cleaner, who inherits the round from him, or her, but you've also got to answer questions at court, or maybe even pay an out-of-court settlement fee for his injuries. Stepping on a crack on the ground, that's said to be unlucky, and I guess it depends sort of where you live and what the floor's made from, but say back in the day if you was a sailor on a boat and you keep stepping on a cracked plank of wood, odds are eventually yours or someone else's leg is going to go through it. You're getting splinters and you're going to die at sea. Ice and all, mate. So if you keep stepping on cracked ice, you could drown. What about glass, though? Like, if they cracked that glass at the top of Blackpool Tower and you still got some fat kid jumping up and down on it, he could fucking plummet to his death, mate, pouring human soup onto the street outside. Like, just outside fucking Wilco's and that, and the sweet shops. Putting new shoes on a table as well, that's considered unlucky. Now, initially it seems a bit hard to follow when you think, but they're brand new, what's the problem? But what if this stems from a time or from a family, a specific family that rarely bought brand new shoes? Maybe their shoes were always hand-me-downs, meaning that, yeah, they're new to you, but they're not brand new, so you could still get dog shit on the dining room table. Unless this was a saying spread by racists. Maybe they didn't like the idea of something that's been made by foreign children being near where they touch. Unfortunately, I mean, I can't be too sure as I myself am not a racist. But what about umbrellas? They say, you shouldn't open them inside, but if you open one of these up and these spring-loaded ones and all, you could fucking break something in it, or you could flick water all around your house, which is going to lead to mould, which will ruin your walls, you'll lose your deposit from your landlord, and you'll die prematurely of a respiratory disease. Could be contagious too, because it's said that if you rub a fat bald man's head, it can be lucky, but if said bald man is self-conscious, then he might not react very well to you touching him. Does that mean that humans are just some form of receptacle for karma? Like the literal hand of karma, maybe? Like, could luck be the physical manifestation of the fourth dimensional beings and their true effects on our world? The shadow of the fourth dimension that we search for every week in Pause for Thought. It'd make sense in a way, because you could argue that the shadow of the third dimension upon the two-dimensional plane does in itself give luck. Because if a bird shits a couple of seeds out as it's flying over a field and they both land in that same field, but one lands in a naturally shady spot, then that plant is unlucky compared to the other, assuming that they're not shade-loving plants. Obviously, if you can get yourself on the RHS plant checker, mate, and fucking find out before you plant them. But we've not planted these. They've been planted by that thrush from before. The mother of the thrush that's going to give birth to the eggs are the ones that you're going to harvest the windpipes from to wrap around your finger for luck. So, and anyway, this unlucky plant, the only reason it's unlucky is because it's in a shadow, which a shadow is just a two-dimensional representation of the 3D world. And speaking of fourth-dimensional beings, what if that's why it's unlucky to smash a mirror? I did have it written down, mirrors, smashed glass, and that being dangerous, but you can go further with it, innit? Like, what if these mirrors are occasionally some form of portal to another plane of existence? Maybe not all mirrors, or maybe some mirrors were, or maybe the original mirrors used to be, but now they've all been found, hidden, destroyed, replaced, or lost, along the way. But they're all known about. We know we've lost that one down the bottom of the sea. We know that one's hidden up a mountain. We know that one's, that we've got this one that's hidden just outside a rift, and we've got this other one that's hidden just outside that massive boat in Fallout 3, etc., etc. Fucking. But what if say we're unlucky and because we break one, and because these magical mirrors may have allowed certain creatures to travel freely, and then when their tie to their original world is cut, they just go fucking mental. Maybe they just get pissed off with being stuck here, and that's why bad stuff happens and people get bad luck and streaks of bad luck, because they're tied then to that person because of this weird bond made by luck. In the same way that the Trafford Centre, that's alright to walk around for an hour if you've got something to do in there, but if you became physically trapped in there, like someone told you it's physically impossible for you to leave these premises, you'd get fucking pissed off pretty quickly, innit? Maybe that's all poltergeists are, innit? Maybe what they that's why they mess with tellies and stuff and do other stuff in films, because a TV's got a reflective surface, a lot like a mirror. maybe that's what TVs are, innit? Maybe TVs, phones, computer monitors, smartwatches. Maybe smartwatches are the most dangerous one of all. You never know, like for trapping demons. You know who, but. Maybe all these things have been mass-produced to try and capture the demons or poltergeists, like fucking big square Pokeballs. Maybe it's not to capture them, but instead it's to herd them. Like if you was to herd a flock of sheep to a new field for grazing, maybe they move the entities around the world so that they can feed off of us and our energy. I mean, who knows though? Like, these are fucking, they're fucking clutching at straws here, innit? But fucking precious stones, mate. Going back to me fucking list, precious stones. They're said to have holistic properties. Now, others believe precious stones have a link to the ethereal, and others think that we can't, things that we can't physically touch, like not just the ethereal, but things like health. We can't really touch health, but some people believe certain stones, like amethyst, available from worldaroundyou.com, and possibly even soapstone, available from worldaroundyou.com, might be something that you can, and agate, available from worldaroundyou.com, is, the sort of thing that you might be able to protect yourself with, kind of thing. But did you know that rubies, sapphires and emeralds, they're seen to be lucky? And I don't think they are, in it, realistically, because I was wondering if they're viewed as lucky because the people that own them on the whole, they're already wealthy, in it, because they own rubies and diamonds and that, So by definition, they're already luckier than those without the stones already. But one stone that kind of links everything I've been speaking about for the past 5 minutes together is a type of stone called jade. Now, the Chinese, what they believe about jade, so apparently a shiny piece of jade can capture negative energy. And so what if that could be the sort of fucking, this negative energy could be their sort of representation, their description of what I keep talking about as a fourth dimensional being. Maybe it can capture them, and then it sort of keeps it within it, like if these can literally capture the souls of these fourth dimensional beings that surround us like a Pokeball, but that's a shiny surface again, being related to capturing energy. And what is static on an analog TV? We're told it's residual energy from the Big Bang, but what if it's really some fucking mangled interpretation of these beings or the energies that might surround us? Besides the point anyway, like what I've mainly been thinking about is the etymology of a word, and that word is jaded. So it's believed that jade can take in this energy, like I said, and sometimes that can cause it to lose its luster, apparently. So is that where we get the term jaded from? Because someone who's jaded is said to have lost their sparkle or, their innocence. Anyway, let's have a song. This is Hills, Fred the Godson and the Heatmakers with We Don't Believe You. One thing can be lucky, then unlucky, like a horseshoe. If it's on the wall or a door or wherever it is you've put it and it looks like an upside down letter U, it's lucky. But if it looks more like a lowercase n, then it's said to be releasing the luck that it would be trapping in your house. It's releasing it into the world, away from the home. So when you look into it all, why are these lucky? That's a weird thing, innit? A horseshoe. They must have just had them. I imagine, if I'm deadly honest, this isn't from research at all, but my actual thought on why a horseshoe is lucky is, and I'll explain why I think a couple of things are lucky. The horseshoes, I think they're lucky. I think we're told they're lucky because once they've been used, and if your village didn't play fucking horseshoes, what the fuck are you going to do with your old horseshoes? You sell them as Lucky Charms to idiots. You know what I mean? Like the village idiot. Oh, look at this, mate. Look at this. Oh, have these. Oh, aren't these nice? Put this on your door. It'll keep a fucking luck in your house. Oh, good. And it keeps the village idiot locked away in their house and makes the village idiot think they're fucking smarter. You're doing a fucking public service, mate. 4-leaf clovers. I think a 4-leaf clover is probably lucky because in the same way that when you're at a kid's party and you're getting sick of the kids mithering you, you just say, I've hidden a pound in the garden. If you can find the pound, it's yours. And then you've got half an hour of activity then for the kids searching for a quid. I bet that's where the 4-leaf clover come from. They're just like, I bet it's got nothing to do with fucking St. Patrick. Some people believe it's got something to do with St. Patrick because St. Patrick used the 3-leaf clover to teach the Irish about the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, in the time that he was fucking kidnapped by, I think, pirates and brought to Ireland and later became this patron saint of Ireland, which is fucking weird. I might do an episode on St. Patrick. But Maybe the four-leaf clover isn't lucky because it's got something to do with St. Patrick. Maybe it's lucky because they told kids it was lucky, and then them kids went and told their kids it's lucky, who told their kids it's lucky, and it just passed on like an oral tradition like that. And realistically, it was just one drunken dad's way of entertaining his weird son for a bit. Oh, go and try and find me a four-leaf clover because they're really lucky, and if you find them, it'll be really lucky for you. I don't know if you found one around. I mean, I'm making this up, innit? But like I said, that's not based on research. The St. Patrick stuff is. Anyway, fucking another. We can relate this back to an old episode. We can relate a little bit back to the Majestic 12 in a way, with the number 13, because according to the History Channel, the number 12 has always been seen as a sign of completeness. Be it the zodiac, the days of Christmas, the amounts of months in a year, to name a few, I mean, but if you think right far back to the Majestic 12 episode and really think, we did go into a bit of that, but 13 is just 12 plus 1. Like Jesus plus the 12 disciples, like the Majestic 12 plus the mentally ill one that they keep in the loft who drip feeds us all information, the 12 labours of Hercules plus Hercules himself. 13 does come up a lot, even in George Eastman's calendar, 13 months. But did you know that apparently Eve got Adam to bite the apple on a Friday? Did you know that Cain killed Abel on a Friday? If we imagine God started building the earth on a Monday, and that's why we have a Sunday off work, then that means he also made fish and birds on a Friday. Now think about if your bird got stuck in a jet engine, that plane's fucking going down, mate, killing everyone. That's pretty unlucky. If you get stranded at sea, you're also fucking guaranteed 100% stronger likelihood of being eaten or at least fucking attacked by a shark as well. So that makes Friday unlucky as well. Now, did you know that Templars, lots of Templars, were arrested on a Friday the 13th fucking years ago, and they were later killed? Now, that's pretty unlucky for the Templars, though fortunately for the king, it meant that he got to keep all of their treasures. Tupac was also killed on Friday the 13th of September, but I am wondering, one of the earliest uses of it in popular culture was called Friday the 13th, but with a comma after the Friday, so it was Friday the 13th, rather than Friday the 13th, implying that the 13th is on a Friday. I think the comma actually moves the meaning of the sentence around, so I think that means rather than Friday the 13th of the month, it could mean it's the 13th Friday, which this year, the 13th Friday, would be the 26th of March, so it'll be interesting to see if anything happens on that day in the world, whatever, if something really stupid and mental and unlucky happens. I mean, as well, fucking hell, if you are mental and you're re-listening to this episode, then go and take a look at what happened on the 26th of March, 2021. Like, March always has 31 days as well, so if we think of another luck-based item, the mirror, then maybe what this is some form of inversion, so maybe they mean the 30th of July this year, which that would be the 31st Friday of the year. Maybe that's why it's unlucky. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I thought it'd be a good idea to sort of get a bit of crowd participation, but since we can't have a call-in because this doesn't go out live and I don't want to deal with speaking to people live on a radio thing in case they fucking say something mental, even though, it's not like it's going out on Radio 2 or something, innit? Like, not to knock the station, but I don't think the listeners of this, like I say, cunt every other word, so they're not going to be fussed. I just don't want to have to deal with someone coming on and being an arsehole. I thought I'd use Reddit instead. I've gone onto a subreddit on Reddit called Ask Reddit, and I've asked everyone what the luckiest thing is that's happened to them, so I'm going to have a look at them now, and we're going to see what we can learn about people and what other people genuinely think is lucky or was lucky. So looking at these examples of luck on Ask Reddit, one guy got a free roof because of a mistake made by a roofing crew, which is, again, lucky for him, unlucky for the roofing crew because they've lost money there. They've had to pay for a roof that no one else has paid for. One person said they were born extremely good looking. Now that does seem like it's lucky because that's purely down to fucking, unless you were born through some form of like over the top IVF, like a designer baby, then that is lucky in it to be born conventionally good looking. Because obviously, everyone likes someone, but fucking, if you are like a fucking, obviously a 10 out of 10 with good bone structure, good muscle structure, good proportions, symmetrical head, you're going to do fucking better in life than some guy that's born with 3 teeth, half an eye, 4 ears, and fucking, like a fucking, I don't know, a fucking, like, I had a cleft lip, I don't know, no hair, or patchy hair, you know what I mean? They're going to do better than them anyway. We've got, someone won a 60-inch TV from a promotion from the local grocery store. They were automatically entered using a little membership card. They didn't even know it was going on. Then they called them on April Fool's Day to say that they'd won. He didn't believe them. They called back to tell the manager someone was using their company as a scam, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, no, yeah, you won. Then they went to the grocery store, showed their ID and the saver card, and they drove home with a new 60-inch TV. This was about 5 years ago. So I mean, that's lucky, innit? That's definitely lucky. To be a part of something you don't even know you're a part of, and to win it, fucking well in. I mean, some of them are about fucking a bit. Some of them are a bit soppy. Existing and growing up in a loving and caring family. I think it's a shame that can be viewed as lucky. And if someone sees that as lucky, I wonder what are they aware of? Like, that's mad. Some people are saying it's lucky that if they were born a few years prior, they probably would have died due to medical advances being made in them few years before they were born. Which I get why that's lucky, but that's just also science. But then again, it's that argument I have every other week of, is science just a way of trying to hide magic and luck and stuff like that to explain it away? I don't know. There's a lot of people here who've gone for this. Some guy, Mickey Mouse 31, survived falling 2.5 metres and landing on his neck. It's quite lucky. I don't know if 2.5 metres though, that's like me if I was to stick my arm out to the top and land on your neck from there. Like, that's quite a height, to be fair, to come down on your neck with. This one says, definitely wasn't lucky, but one time a bird shat on my arms as I had it out the open window of a moving vehicle. Not sure what the odds were for that, but it was definitely unlikely. Yeah, that's an example of luck, innit? Like, the lucky in the sense of, like, it's against the odds, and that's what luck seems to have become synonymous for. And that's probably going to wrap up the show, mate. That, if you want to find this, go and have a look on Reddit. If you want to read through all of these, there is fucking loads. I might do a little special for these, and put it on my YouTube or something. Read through them. But yeah, I just wanted to get an idea of what people think lucky is, because I'd say lucky's like finding a quid on the floor or something, but none of these seem to have gone for little bits like that. I'd say it's better to have more luck than one big lucky event. I'd rather have constant luck. Just, things keep going your way. That'd be pretty nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, fucking, I'm the world around you, and this was Pause for Thought on Fresh Old FM. Or fucking, see you in a bit.